There comes a point in life when you realize that not everything needs to be shared, that silence at times becomes the greatest form of strength. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the wisest ones are those who whisper to themselves and understand the power of keeping certain truths untold. Most people believe intelligence is shown by how much one knows, how well one speaks, or how loudly one can prove a point. Yet the true measure of an intelligent mind lies not in the noise it makes, but in the calm it carries. There is an art to privacy, a subtle strength in silence that the modern world has almost forgotten. Intelligent people understand that some things lose their magic when exposed to too many eyes, too many judgments, too many careless words. They understand that wisdom is not only about what to say, but also about what to withhold. The first secret that should always remain private is your emotional world. Your emotions are sacred. They are the purest reflection of your inner universe. When you expose your emotional storms to everyone, you invite unnecessary interference. Intelligent minds know that emotions are meant to be understood, not displayed. They do not hide their feelings out of fear, but out of respect for their own process. They understand that peace grows when one learns to hold their emotions with awareness rather than scattering them in front of others for validation or sympathy. The second secret lies in your ambitions and goals. When you share your dreams too early, you disperse the energy that should be invested in building them. Every word spoken about a dream creates an expectation. An expectation often kills enthusiasm. Intelligent people work in silence. They allow results to speak in their place. They understand that a seed must remain underground for a time before it becomes a tree. If you expose it too soon, you risk killing it. Protecting your vision from unnecessary opinions gives it the freedom to grow into something magnificent. The third thing that intelligent people never share freely is their personal struggles. It is not because they are ashamed, but because they understand the sacredness of self-discovery. Every challenge carries a lesson meant only for the one experiencing it. When you constantly seek external validation or pity, you lose the opportunity to learn from your pain. True strength is silent endurance, the kind that turns suffering into wisdom. Intelligent individuals turn their difficulties into insights, not conversations. They know that the value of pain is not in how loudly it is expressed, but in how deeply it is understood. The reason this wisdom feels rare is because society conditions us to believe that sharing everything makes us authentic. Yet authenticity is not exposure, it is alignment. The intelligent person does not build walls, but boundaries. They share what serves connection and keep what preserves peace. Their silence is not emptiness, it is full of meaning. It reflects the understanding that one's life is not a stage, but a sacred journey. When you start practicing this art of selective silence, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel lighter. Your thoughts become sharper. You stop worrying about how others perceive you, because you no longer live for their perception. You begin to operate from a place of self-assurance, where the noise of others cannot reach you. That is where true happiness lies, not in the approval of the crowd, but in the serenity of your own awareness. So remember this: intelligent people are not distant because they don't care. They are private because they do. They care deeply about protecting the energy that shapes their reality. They understand that happiness does not come from sharing everything, but from sharing the right things with the right people at the right time. And most of all, they understand that silence is not the absence of thought, it is the presence of wisdom. There is a rare kind of intelligence that does not reveal itself through loud declarations or a constant need to be understood by others, but rather through a quiet confidence that finds strength in privacy and self-restraint. An intelligent person learns, often through experience and reflection, that silence is not weakness, but a form of wisdom that allows thoughts to mature and emotions to settle before they are released into the world. In a society that thrives on constant exposure, where every moment is broadcasted and every opinion is publicized, the one who chooses to remain private stands out as a being of depth. This kind of person understands that sharing less is not about secrecy, but about self-preservation. For not all truths are meant to be spoken, and not every emotion deserves an audience. The intelligent mind perceives that when something sacred is shared too freely, it loses its purity, much like how a melody loses its beauty when played too often and too loudly. Such a person recognizes that the things most essential to one's happiness, inner peace, personal struggles, and deep aspirations, must be protected from the noise of opinions and the chaos of misunderstanding. To talk too much about one's goals invites interference and expectation. To expose one's emotions without awareness invites misinterpretation. To display one's suffering without reflection invites pity instead of understanding. So the wise individual learns to contain rather than display, to process rather than perform, and to nurture their inner world quietly until it blossoms into results that need no explanation. The more they guard their privacy, the more they expand their clarity, for energy once spent on convincing others is now reserved for creating, observing, and growing. The truly intelligent understand that speaking about everything dilutes the meaning of what is truly important, while silence refines it. They are not detached or unfeeling, but deeply connected to the essence of life that flows beyond words. They see that happiness is not found in how much one reveals, but in how much peace one maintains within. Their silence becomes their wisdom. Their restraint becomes their power, and their privacy becomes their protection. In that quiet space between what is known and what is shared, they discover true freedom, the freedom to be themselves without the need for validation, the freedom to feel deeply without the pressure to explain, and the freedom to grow without the eyes of others watching. This is the silent revolution of the intelligent mind, to choose calmness over chaos, reflection over reaction, and peace over performance. Knowing that the truest parts of oneself are the ones the world will never fully see, but can always sense. An intelligent person moves through life with a quiet understanding that not everything valuable needs to be spoken about or shared. They have learned, often through experience and disappointment, that the more one exposes their inner world to others, the more it becomes subject to misunderstanding and distortion. They understand that silence is not the absence of communication, but the highest form of it, a space where truth lies unbothered by the noise of judgment. In a culture where everyone rushes to announce their thoughts, feelings, and struggles, the intelligent individual takes a step back and listens instead. They realize that speaking too soon about goals can weaken motivation, because once a dream is spoken, it begins to seek validation rather than fulfillment. They see how expressing deep emotions to those who cannot understand them brings emptiness rather than relief. They know that pain, when shared carelessly, often becomes entertainment for others rather than a path to healing. So they protect these inner experiences like sacred treasures, not because they are hiding, but because they are preserving their purity. Their wisdom lies in discernment, knowing when to speak, when to remain silent, and when to let time reveal what words cannot. This self-control is not coldness but maturity, the kind that grows when one learns that life is not a stage for constant performance, but a quiet garden where growth happens in stillness. This kind of person has no desire to impress or seek sympathy. They are more interested in understanding themselves than in being understood. They are at peace with the fact that not everyone deserves access to their truth, because not everyone can handle its depth. They do not confuse privacy with isolation, for while isolation is fear-driven, privacy is power-driven. They know that when you speak too much, your energy leaks into the world, And when you stay silent, it multiplies within you. Their silence becomes their strength, their calm becomes their confidence, and their solitude becomes their source of clarity. They have learned that true happiness cannot coexist with overexposure, because peace demands boundaries. Instead of explaining themselves, they choose to embody their understanding. Instead of proving their worth, they quietly live it. They know that wisdom is not in being known, but in knowing oneself deeply enough to no longer depend on the noise of others for validation. And so they walk through life gently, speaking only when words add meaning, sharing only when it brings truth, and holding back when silence serves as the higher language of wisdom. An intelligent person often understands that the deepest parts of life are meant to be experienced, not broadcasted. They move with quiet awareness, knowing that too many words can disturb the peace of understanding. They have seen how easily emotions are misunderstood when spoken to the wrong ears, and how pure intentions can lose their strength when explained to those who are not ready to understand them. So they choose silence, not out of pride but out of wisdom. They have learned that silence is the companion of insight, that true growth happens in stillness, and that not every feeling deserves an audience. The intelligent person values the privacy of their inner world because they recognize it as the source of their power. When they dream, they do so quietly, allowing their efforts to speak when the time is right. They understand that words can be like seeds. If scattered too soon, they fail to grow. By protecting their thoughts, they protect their energy, and by protecting their energy, they protect their peace. In a world that praises exposure, they find strength in restraint, trusting that what is sacred must remain unseen until it has matured into truth. Such a person also understands that not every listener is worthy of hearing their heart. They see how easily the world judges, how quickly others twist stories to fit their own assumptions. So instead of sharing their every joy or pain, they hold those emotions close, letting them shape wisdom rather than conversation. They know that when pain is spoken without understanding, it invites sympathy instead of transformation, and when dreams are shared too early, they invite opinions instead of support. The intelligent person accepts that privacy is not loneliness, but a necessary form of self-respect. They don't need to be understood by everyone because they have already understood themselves. Their calm presence speaks louder than explanation ever could. In silence, they find clarity. In solitude, they find strength. They realize that those who constantly seek to be seen often lose themselves in the process, while those who embrace the quiet remain rooted in who they truly are. Their quietness is not emptiness. It is depth, a space where the noise of the world cannot reach, where their thoughts have room to breathe, and where their spirit finds rest. With time, this wisdom becomes their way of life. They stop chasing validation, stop explaining their choices, and stop defending their peace. They begin to understand that true happiness is not found in others' approval, but in the quiet satisfaction of inner harmony. They allow life to unfold naturally, trusting that what is meant to be known will reveal itself without force. Their silence becomes their message, their stillness their strength. They realize that privacy gives them freedom, the freedom to think without interference, to feel without distortion, and to grow without pressure. While the world rushes to display every moment, the intelligent person watches, learns, and remains still, for they have discovered that silence holds more truth than words ever could. In that quiet space between what they know and what they choose to share, they find the peace that others endlessly search for. And in that peace, they live not loudly, but fully, content-aware and unshaken by the noise surrounding them. An intelligent person understands that life becomes richer when it is lived inwardly rather than performed outwardly. They see how modern culture encourages everyone to speak, share, and display, Yet very few truly listen or understand. They have learned through observation that the more one exposes their inner life to the world, the more fragile it becomes. For public attention often dilutes personal meaning. So they cultivate the art of quiet living, not hiding, but holding. They treat their emotions, thoughts, and dreams as sacred, aware that these are the roots of their being and not meant to be trampled by careless opinions. Their silence is not emptiness. It is full of understanding. They find wisdom not in the noise of expression, but in the calm of reflection. While others rush to be seen, they are content to be unseen, knowing that what truly matters never needs validation. For them, the power of silence lies in how it allows space for awareness to grow, for thoughts to form naturally, and for truth to reveal itself without the interference of ego or audience. They have also learned that the world often misunderstands sincerity. When one speaks of their struggles, the world either pities or judges. When one shares their dreams, it doubts or competes. So the intelligent person no longer seeks sympathy or applause. They seek understanding within. They recognize that every emotional storm is a lesson, every challenge a silent teacher, and every quiet moment an opportunity for growth. They choose to hold their pain close, not as a burden, but as a source of wisdom. They do not need to explain their journey to anyone, for they know that personal evolution is something only the heart can witness. They allow themselves to feel deeply but respond lightly, to experience fully but share selectively. By keeping their emotions private, they preserve their energy and prevent their peace from being disturbed by misunderstanding or judgment. They know that emotional maturity means feeling without performing, loving without displaying, and healing without announcement. In the same way, they understand that goals and dreams must be protected like fragile seeds. When spoken too soon, they are exposed to winds of doubt and criticism. An intelligent person works silently, understanding that the strength of a vision lies in its quiet development. They believe that effort is more powerful than explanation, and progress more meaningful than promises. They do not crave attention for their ambition, they crave fulfillment through persistence. Their satisfaction comes not from being praised, but from knowing they are aligned with purpose. Silence becomes the soil in which their dreams take root. Each step they take, unseen and uncelebrated, becomes part of something greater that eventually speaks for itself. Their achievements do not scream, they whisper. And yet those whispers echo far more deeply than any loud declaration could. In their world, patience replaces performance, and purpose replaces pride. As life unfolds, this quiet way of being becomes their peace. They are not cold or distant, but deeply aware that serenity cannot coexist with noise. They live with a gentle detachment from others' opinions, knowing that truth does not require defense. They share when it adds value and remain silent when it protects peace. Their boundaries are not barriers, but bridges to self-respect. They walk through life lightly, speaking only when necessary, giving meaning to words through intention rather than volume. Their calmness becomes their power, their privacy their protection, and their silence their strength. In this quiet rhythm, they find a happiness that does not depend on recognition, a wisdom that does not seek attention, and a fulfillment that exists simply in being. They have discovered that life's truest beauty is not found in how much we share, but in how deeply we understand what must remain unspoken. An intelligent person learns through time and experience that silence carries a wisdom words often fail to express. They observe how the world rushes to speak, to explain, and to share. Yet so few pause to reflect. They come to understand that there is strength in holding back, in keeping certain truths private, and in allowing thoughts to mature before they are spoken. They see that when emotions are shared without understanding, they lose their depth, and when dreams are revealed too early, they lose their energy. So they begin to move with quiet awareness, guarding the sanctity of their inner world. Their silence is not avoidance, it is a choice, a deliberate act of self-respect. They realize that what grows in silence often grows stronger, and that some of the most profound transformations happen when no one is watching. They understand that the things that truly define a person, their emotions, their aspirations, their lessons, must be experienced deeply, not displayed publicly. They have watched how easily people judge what they do not understand. The intelligent person learns that by revealing too much, one gives others the power to distort their truth. And so they protect their emotions, not out of fear but out of wisdom. They know that peace cannot survive in a heart constantly open to everyone's opinions. They have learned that not every feeling needs to be expressed, and not every pain needs to be explained. Instead of seeking comfort in exposure, they find strength in reflection. They allow their emotions to move through them quietly, like waves returning to the sea. Their silence becomes healing, their solitude becomes sacred. They realize that those who talk less about their struggles often end up understanding them more deeply. For them, silence is not an absence of emotion, but a deeper form of awareness, a way of listening to themselves and understanding life beyond words. In their pursuit of goals, they follow the same principle. They understand that ambition, when spoken too soon, attracts unnecessary opinions and expectations. So they keep their dreams private, protecting them from the noise of doubt. They know that real work happens in the shadows, where focus is pure and energy is preserved. They work silently, allowing their results to be the only announcement they ever need. Their patience becomes their power. They believe that what is built quietly stands longer, for it was not constructed to impress but to last. They do not need applause to stay motivated, for their satisfaction comes from progress, not recognition. The intelligent person knows that true achievement is not loud. It is steady, purposeful, and deeply personal. Their silence is filled with effort, their stillness with movement, and their privacy with creation. As they continue to grow, they find that wisdom and happiness come not from constant interaction, but from inner alignment. They begin to detach gently from the need to explain themselves. They no longer defend their choices or seek validation, for they have understood that truth needs no witness. They choose conversations that nourish and connections that respect boundaries. They give without losing themselves and love without announcing it. Their silence speaks of peace, their restraint of discipline, and their calmness of control. They live by the simple truth that not everything sacred must be seen, and not every beautiful thought must be spoken. They let life unfold naturally, trusting that what is meant for them will find them without noise or struggle. Over time, this way of living becomes their greatest wisdom. They move quietly through the world, untouched by its chaos, yet deeply aware of its rhythm. They know that the loudest voices rarely speak truth, and that the most peaceful souls are those who have learned to befriend silence. Their privacy becomes their strength, not because they fear being known, but because they value being whole. They have discovered that silence does not isolate, it connects them more deeply to the essence of life. And in that connection, they find what so many seek but never attain: a happiness that is calm, a strength that is unseen, and a wisdom that grows endlessly within.